You're sitting at a small kitchen table in a one-bedroom apartment outside Newark. You're eating cereal. The TV is on. Some morning show. Your phone buzzes on the table. You don't pick it up right away. You finish your cereal. You wash the bowl. You dry it with a dish towel, then you pick up the phone. There's no message, just a name, a photo, an address, a time. That's how the job comes in. Always. No greeting, no question. Just 4 pieces of information that mean a man you've never met is going to die in 36 hours, and you're the one doing it. You weren't born for this. Nobody is. You were a kid who liked baseball. You had a mother who worked 2 jobs and a father who left when you were 6. You were okay in school. You weren't violent. You were quiet. That's what they look for. Quiet. The army taught you the rest. You served 8 years. You did things in places you can't talk about. By the time they discharged you, you knew how to take a man's life from 600 yards or 3 feet, and you knew how to do it without thinking about it for more than a second after. Then there was the year after the army, the bartending job, the drinking, the girl who left, the empty apartment. You were 29 and broke, and you'd been trained for one thing in your entire life. And the country that trained you didn't need you anymore. A man found you at a VA meeting. He didn't say much. He bought you coffee. He asked if you'd be open to work. He said the pay was good and the rules were simple. You said yes before he finished asking. That's the part nobody tells you about. The first yes is the easy one. You'd been waiting for someone to ask you that question for a year. The first job is in Chicago. A man named David. You don't know what he did. You don't ask. The broker, that's what the man is called, the broker, he doesn't tell you and you don't want to know. The rules are simple. You're paid $40,000. Half up front, half on confirmation. You have 72 hours. You don't use your real name. You don't tell anyone. You don't keep souvenirs. If you break a rule, you're not fired, you're replaced. You drive to Chicago. You take a Greyhound back. You sit by the window and you watch the highway lights and you wait to feel something. You don't. That worries you for a week. Then you stop thinking about it. The second job comes 3 months later. The third comes 6 weeks after that. By the end of the first year, you've done 11. By the end of the second year, you've stopped counting. You buy a small house in cash in a town outside Phoenix. You drive a Toyota. You wear off-the-rack clothes from Macy's. The first rule of having money you can explain is that nobody can know you have it. Your neighbors think you do something boring. IT consulting, software, you wave at them. You take in their packages when they're on vacation. You are the most forgettable man on your street. You have rules of your own now, on top of the brokers. No families, no witnesses if you can help it, no children in the house, ever. If a job has a kid in the house, you reschedule it. The broker doesn't like that. You tell him to find someone else. He doesn't. You're worth too much to lose over a rule. The other rule is harder. You have to stop reading about them. The first year, you read the news after every job. You wanted to know who they were. You wanted some confirmation that the man you killed was a man who deserved it. Sometimes the article was clear. Wife beater, drug dealer, embezzler. Sometimes there was no article at all. And sometimes the article was a problem. A father of 3. A small business owner. A man who, by every public account, didn't deserve what happened to him. You'd read those articles and sit very still and feel something you didn't have a word for. So you stopped reading. The broker calls this professionalism. You call it the only way to keep going. You start meeting other operators. Not many. The brokers keep you separated. But on the bigger jobs, the ones with multiple targets, you sometimes work in parallel with 1 or 2 others. You don't learn their names. You learn their habits. There's a man you've worked with twice who's older than you and who never speaks. There's a woman who works out of New Orleans who is faster than anyone you've ever seen. There's a man from Eastern Europe who only takes contracts in Europe. His name is mentioned in whispers even by the brokers. He's the one they call when the target has security so tight nobody else will touch it. You meet him once at a hotel bar in Vienna. He tells you a story about a job he did in 2009 that you don't believe until you read about it 3 weeks later in a footnote of a Times article. You start to understand the hierarchy. There are tiers in this business. At the bottom, there are street guys. They charge $5,000 and miss half the time. In the middle, there are professionals like you. $40,000 a job. Reliable, quiet, hard to catch. At the top, there are maybe a dozen operators on the planet who can do the impossible jobs. Heads of state, federal witnesses in protective custody, cartel bosses surrounded by 100 armed men. Those operators charge $1 million per job. They do 4 jobs a year and live the rest of the time in countries with no extradition. They are the deadliest men alive. Most of them, the public has never heard their names. The ones the public has heard of, the Iceman, the cartel sicarios who got arrested, those are the ones who got caught. The real ones don't get caught. The real ones never become famous. You become one of them. It takes 10 years. You don't notice it happening. The broker offers a job for $300,000 and you take it. A year later, it's $500,000. One day, it's $1 million. The targets get harder. The targets get more important. You stop working in the United States almost entirely. You fly. You use passports that aren't yours. You speak languages you didn't speak in your 20s. Your body count, if you had to estimate it, is in the low hundreds. You don't estimate it. You meet a woman in Lisbon. She's a teacher. She has no idea who you are. You see her for 2 years. The night you decide to leave her, she's making pasta and humming, and you stand in her kitchen doorway and you understand, in a way you've never understood before, that you cannot have this. The day you build a life with her is the day she becomes leverage. The day someone decides to find you. They'll find her first. You leave her a note. You don't say goodbye. You're on a plane to Singapore by morning. You buy a second house in Portugal anyway. You don't know why. You go there twice a year. You sit on the balcony and you read books and you watch the boats in the harbor and you don't talk to anyone. The neighbors think you're a writer. You let them. You start to notice the changes in yourself. You sleep less. You sleep lighter. You wake up at 3 a.m. and you can't go back. You sit at the kitchen table in whatever apartment you're in and you stare at the wall. The dreams aren't bad. The dreams are just nothing. That's the part that scares you. There should be dreams. There should be something. You drink more. Not enough to be a problem, just enough. You start to notice you don't laugh. Not really. You smile at jokes. You make the right faces. But the actual sound of your own laugh is something you can't remember the last time you heard. You try to remember the last time you cried. You can't. You try to remember the last time you felt afraid, and you realize you felt it more in your second year of this job than you do now. That fear used to keep you sharp. Now it's gone. You don't know if its absence is a gift or the worst thing that's ever happened to you. The broker calls you on a Tuesday. He doesn't usually call. He texts. Calls mean something is different. He tells you the next job is special. He tells you the pay is $2 million. He tells you the target is in a country you've worked in before, but the security is heavier than anything you've seen. You ask who. He tells you. You sit very still. It's another operator, one of the dozen. You ask why. The broker tells you it doesn't matter why. You ask if the contract goes both ways, if there's also a contract on you somewhere, with someone else's name on it. The broker is quiet for a long time. He says he doesn't know. He says probably. He says that's how it ends for men in your tier. Not retirement, not prison, a contract from another broker, picked up by someone newer and hungrier, and a quiet exit in a hotel room nobody will ever find. You take the job. You do it in Cairo. It takes 9 days. The man sees you coming on the 7th day. He doesn't run. He nods at you across a market square, the way one professional nods at another, and then he goes back to his coffee. You do it that night. You don't feel anything. The broker confirms the kill at sunrise. $2 million hits an account you don't access from any country you live in. You fly back to your apartment. You sit at the kitchen table. The TV is on. Some morning show. You think about the man in Cairo. You think about the nod he gave you. You think about how he didn't run. You wonder if he was tired, the way you are tired now. You wonder if part of him was relieved. You wonder how long you have. You spent your whole life learning to take other people's. Now, somewhere out there, a man who doesn't know your name yet